Welcome to We Solve Problems with your host, James D. Bennett II. In each episode, we'll share educational insights to motivate manufacturers to innovate. You can find this show on YouTube, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on www.inovativsolutions.org. Now here's the host of We Solve Problems, James D. Bennett II.
Good morning, and welcome to the We Solve Problems podcast, where we inform of the existing technology, the trend of the R&D for that technology, and the financial incentive to help mitigate risk of innovation. I'm your host, James Bennett. Today we are talking about the security automation industry with Ms. Samantha Boles, Managing Director at Automated Security Integrated Solutions. Ms. Boles, could you give us a brief summary of your background, please?
Good morning, James.
Good morning.
Our company automates security, just like the name says. So we automate anything that you could think of that a traditional security guard would be at. We try to automate that with computers, cameras, and other technology.
Okay. That is why we have you on the show today, to guide us in this particular industry. To put today's podcast into context, the security automation landscape is always evolving, even more so in the past decade, wherein technological revolutions are changing the core of the security automation industry. New emerging technologies, machine learning, cybersecurity, and artificial intelligence are becoming a reality in the security automation world. So what does this mean for security automation, and how will it fit in today's big puzzle? Research shows that security automation has become more difficult through the increasing sophistication of threats, security stack complexity, risk management, and the entrapment of teams in react mode. While no one crisis dominates, the problem of excessive time handling emergencies consistently ranks first. Organizations experience cyber attacks by the thousands, so a reactive stance is inevitable. Smart security teams do their best to get ahead of known attacks, but there are always new techniques that send them scrambling again. As the increasing sophistication of technology continues to rise in the ways of how data is used, the methods of attack will see to it that the scrambling will last indefinitely. About every 39 seconds, hackers target websites and use new methods to breach firewalls. So, as we go deeper into cyberspace, there will be a continuous need for R&D to create new and improved security technology. To begin today's dialogue, Ms. Boles, tell us, what is security automation and why should companies use security processes?
So security automation is automating security, anything. So the most common thing that people think of or would relate to is a badge, an employee badge to get into a building, right? That's an example of automation. You get a badge issued to you with your credentials, and it can open doors, certain doors in the building to get in and out of. Where used to, maybe there was a security guard standing at the door, allowing people in or out, checking off a list, right? That's a very simple example of security automation. People need security, not like you said, just in cyberspace too, right? We need security processes around our internet, our infrastructure at companies so that we don't get hacked. We need security on our perimeters and on our buildings so that we don't have physical intrusions as well.
Okay, good. Now, what are some of the existing technologies and what are their limitations? And what are some of the major challenges that have been impacting your industry, the security automation industry, here lately?
Yeah, so some of the major things that we have right now are cameras, right? And a lot of people have those in their homes, like the Nest cameras or the Ring cameras. Those are some good examples of what's in the industry, really widespread right now. Everybody can get them. They're widely accessible. Used to it would be maybe a bank, right? That we would see, cameras on us. Now everyone has them. So that would be one thing, I think, cameras. Cybersecurity too, it's really available now, like on our computers. We have McAfee, things like that, that you can get some kind of antivirus and some basic security protections off the shelf. So those are some in the industry that's there. I think the biggest challenge I see right now is affecting the world is OpenAI and ChatGPT and those things. So the OpenAI artificial intelligence, because it's so new, that's why it's the biggest challenge that I see.
I see. So now, what are some of the limitations we have with this technology that's in place now? What can you elaborate a little bit more on that? Or, I mean, how is what you see every day limited, and what pathways do you perceive to take to improve on those limitations?
So the limitations with AI are, like I said, it's very new still, and even we're using it, right? We've been using it. So, for example, our cameras in our homes, it'll see things like a pet walking by, right? And you have to train it and tell it that's a pet. It doesn't automatically know, um, or that's a shadow, or don't look at the street, right? That's a car. Let's bring it in closer. I don't want to get those notifications. So the limitations are that it is a computer for anything with artificial intelligence or machine learning. And you still have to have someone telling it what to do and looking at it and testing it and retesting it and trying to make sure it works. So that's the limitation. We still see it, right? We still, when you get a new camera system in your home, it's not perfect. Or thermostats, another thing, right? It's not perfect. It has to learn what you want. You have to set it to your settings. Nothing's truly fully automated yet. Those are the limitations. And you still need security around that, right? You still have to make sure it's on your home Wi-Fi and it's secure so that someone can't break in and look at your cameras and spy on you, or someone can't break in and take over your thermostats if they're connected to the internet. So those are still the limitations, making sure that it's secure and that we still need humans trained and improving that technology.
Okay. Well, now, with all those limitations, what are what are some of the major technology predicaments and limitations in the security automation? I mean, what keeps you up at night when you think about the technology that you're currently using, and how do you think it will affect your business and or the industry in general?
What keeps me up at night, same answer I've said for years, is being hacked.
Uh,
That's my biggest fear, is to be hacked. Um, and so I try to do everything I can to make sure of that, and spend a lot of money on making sure that I have a lot of confidential information, especially being in the security industry, and a lot of government regulations as well. So that's what keeps me up at night. Um, and it's been getting a more of a problem in the world, right? We've seen it, big companies like Target getting hacked, and then now we're seeing cyber warfare, even, right? So I think and I think with OpenAI and Chat GPT, we're going to see even more of that. It's going to be easier. It's not going to be a human that has to be smart enough to hack. It's going to be a computer that's learned and can go look in 2 seconds, can look at how other people have hacked and then do that successfully.
okay. Now, you've touched on it several times, the Chat GPT, the artificial intelligence, and that is a hot topic for the day. It's all over the news. People are talking about it amongst themselves. Uh, as I understand it, the Chat GPT can automate itself. I mean, it can actually, I guess, redesign itself, machine learn, and really take on a life of its own. But the main issue that I think is that's affecting facing the industry at this point, as it relates to artificial intelligence, is how to regulate it. Here lately, there has been a CEO with the Capitol Hill and urging regulatory requirements on artificial intelligence. Uh, what are some of the technological trends of artificial intelligence, and what excites you the most about it, and what makes you be concerned about artificial intelligence?
So you had a couple questions in there, but the most exciting is that it is exciting, right? It's a machine learning and helping us, and there's some really good technical advances coming from it. I saw some medical advancements where they used AI to go through all these charts from 50 years back of people with lung cancer, and now they're able to find everything common of X-rays in people that before cancer was detected to after, and now this software, because of that AI, is able to detect who's probably going to have cancer before they even get it, right? So that's amazing, and that's exciting. And those things are exciting when it's used for good. That's exciting. On the flip side, the scary part is that it can be used for bad. It can be used to steal people's code, steal intellectual property. It can be used for cyber warfare, hacking war, right? Ransomware. So that's the scary part because like you said, the machine gets better and smarter. It can teach itself with the more information that's out there. It keeps learning it faster than humans ever could, and retaining it more than humans ever could, right? And so that's the scary part. And I agree that it needs to be regulated. There's not a lot of regulations around it or laws, right? Or even right now, I'm curious, and in your field, something that you're going to see, and I'm going to have to pick your brain later is, can people even get a patent in their software um, if they've used OpenAI, which is basically taking other people's software, right, and other code. Um, so there's no rules around that yet, right? We don't know. We're yet to see. So, we'll stay tuned. Maybe in a couple of years we'll have another podcast and we'll know, right? And
Yeah, maybe so.
right now, that's the scary part. It's very unknown. It's very new.
Well, in your opinion, and you may or may not have thought about it or have an answer for it, but uh, where do you think the major emphasis should be placed on regulation?
Uh, the major emphasis, I think, would be probably public safety right now, over intellectual property. Even though I'm a business owner and that's important to me, I think the public safety would be the biggest concern. Making sure the data privacy laws are being followed, that the computer's not violating that. I've seen some class action lawsuits on that. That's scary, right? And that the machines can get data even if you don't want it shared. It can kind of find those data and scrub that somehow. So I think that should be the first point that we focus on.
Okay. Okay. Well, now, what are some of the trends in your industry at this point, and how can that R&D be leveraged uh, to take advantage of the opportunities to advance emerging technologies?
So this would be one that I would have to ask you. If we're researching OpenAI, does that count? Can we research that and see how it can help us, what we can do, right? Like, because we're interested, but we don't use it. So, but that would be a big one, right? Companies need to learn. We're going to have to learn about it, whether we use it or not, because we have to, it's there. So we have to either know the good, the bad, the ugly. Are we going to, even if we don't use it, how do we protect ourselves from it, right? So that's one thing. I think companies, if it's eligible for R&D credit, that's one thing we all need to be looking at. And then if it's good and you're going to use it, then there's a lot of opportunities. I was talking to one coder, and he said he uses the Copilot on GitHub, and he doesn't use it to get code. He said he uses it more like kind of like autocorrect. That it kind of fills in as he's typing. If he's repeating several lines, once it learns it, it's like, oh, okay, I can do it. But I've told my coders don't use it yet, right? Because I don't know. Are we still going to own it? Somebody else? So, but that's something I want to explore. The other thing that I think that's been growing that I've been doing is GPS tracking, and that's really we have the satellites all in the air. People want to see their product moving, kind of like the for people that aren't in the security world, like the Apple AirTags that are out now. You want to put it in your suitcase. You can keep those two pieces at all times, if it's got Wi-Fi for the AirTag. Same thing in the security industry. People want to see where their product is. If they're moving computers, if they're moving oil rigs, whatever they're moving, they want to see that. So that's another thing that we're still spending a lot of time on our R&D and is doing that the best and the most affordable. And we use some AI for ours, not open AI. We create our own. But I'm interested to see if there's a way to use some of the resources out there to make us better and smarter, to make sure we don't become obsolete as a business.
I see. Well, could some of that R&D be including? I mentioned at the outset about the hackers. Uh, how much R&D is focused on just hacking itself in the industry?
I couldn't speak as an industry. I know some people it's going to be even more, like for a pipeline company, right? Heavily regulated by the government so that they don't get hacked. Airlines, right? Things that could be potential terrorist attack and effect, right? They probably spending a lot of money making sure that they don't get hacked, and on R&D and making sure they're the best always. For my company, I'm smaller. Still very important to me though, right? I'm a security company, so I would say of my total R&D that we focus on, at least 25% is that we're making sure we're safe in all areas. And every new thing that we do, right? Every new software, every new code, if we're pulling in third-party software, even Google Maps, right? Making sure that there's not a way to get breached through that way.
Okay. So, well, now we're getting all these different developments, and of course, when you develop, uh, I guess, the computer software, etc., it tends to affect the workforce. In your opinion, what impact would this have on the workforce? I mean, so far as the developments that we're talking about. I mean, in other words, will the developments tend to spur a need for more skilled workers, or will there be a need for more downsizing?
Yeah, so I think that we're still going to need people, and we're going to need to train them, right? Like the open AI, Chat GPT, people have to train it. Humans need it. I heard a podcast last week talking about annotators, right? They have to teach the cameras that recognize facial recognition, right? That it takes hours, hundreds of thousands of hours to teach the computer, the difference between an elbow and a knee, for example. So people are still needed for that. And in my industry too, even though we replace traditional security guards, we need people that are coding. We need people that understand video analytics and are doing that, right? So it's just about retraining, and we've done that ourselves where we might have a traditional security guard and say, hey, would you like to go to coding school? Because that's what we need now. So I think we're still going to need people in the workforce. I know people are scared about it, and that's afraid of losing jobs, but we have to. And we saw this a long time ago, right? When machinery first came about, people were worried, they weren't going to have jobs, but they need to, engineers are needed to make sure those machines work, make sure it's not going down, fix them if something does go down, right? And testing. So I think we're still going to have a good workforce, just a shift in what they're doing.
Well, I heard you mention the coders. Uh, are you afraid that maybe artificial intelligence with this machine learning will somehow replace those coders at some point in time?
I don't think so. From everything I see, I mean, there's always new coders, new languages, new ideas, right? And so what you see now on OpenAI and ChatGPT is only what's existing. It's not going to think of a new technology, right? A human has to think of that. A human has a bright idea, right? Like to create electricity. The computer won't know that. The computer will always be limited to knowing what's out there already. It can grab all the information that's out there, but no new ideas. So I think we're going to always need coders and inventors.
Okay, so in the computer science and automated security world, jobs are pretty safe then, you're saying.
I think they're very safe, and I've never seen so much interest. People coming to me wanting to leave marketing to go into cybersecurity or AI. I've never seen so much interest like that. And I've been in this for 15 years, and I've never seen the interest that I'm seeing today. So I think, more students are going to be getting their degrees now in cybersecurity in some form of it, and working in some field. There's a lot of fields in cybersecurity, so I think it's growing, and we're going to see a lot of workforce in the cybersecurity area.
See. Well, good. That's good to hear. Most industries downsizing because of AI, but in your particular industry, it tends to attract more people. Okay, then. Well, with that, we'll have to bring this podcast to an end. I want to express my gratitude to Ms. Boles for sharing her expertise and insights, and we're honored to have her join us on this particular podcast. And I want to remind those of you who are watching to take this opportunity to learn from our guests and to strive to achieve your goals and aspirations. Ms. Boles, where can we find you for reference?
You can go to my website. We have a contact us there. It's www.automatedsecurityis.com.
And I can be found at www.innovativesolutions.org. That's one, no E and one N. Innovativesolutions.org. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you on our next podcast.
You've been tuning into We Solve Problems with your host, James D. Bennett II. Learn more about financial incentives to mitigate the risk to better your products at www.innovativesolutions.org, where you can find other episodes of this show. Thank you for your positive feedback, comments, questions, and for sharing this with others.